Hello YouTubers and fellow hams. I have a couple of boxes to open. Chameleon Antennas have sent me something to play with and review. I'm pretty sure it's a portable loop. Let's find out what's in these boxes. So I've got one fairly heavy big box here that I think is the loop itself. And then I've got a much longer, skinnier box that I'm going to open first, because I think I know what's in this one. This is probably a stand. I've already cut the tape and opened the flaps. Packing material. Oh! Portable HF antenna, 28 to 54 megahertz. It's a whip. It's a broadband monopole antenna designed for portable or man-pack radios requiring compact but rugged antenna systems. 28 to 54 megahertz. So the top end of the HF band, 10 meters through 6 meters. What's this then? This is an antenna. Amateur radio antenna. Alright, I need my glasses. Looks like they sent me a couple of antennas. Oh! Wow! Oh, one of those really nice multi-purpose clamps. He sent me all kinds of good stuff to look at here. Broadband HF antenna. These are all part of the same thing. Okay. Well, wait. Now this says portable HF antenna. This says broadband HF antenna. I think I got two antennas in here. That looks like a loading coil. Yeah, okay. So that's an entire antenna. Wow, I might be doing two antenna reviews here. All right, let me put all this stuff aside and clean up, and then we'll take a look in the big box, and we'll see what's in that box. More packing material. Very, very well packed. Okay, this has HF Portable Loop Antenna 2.0 CHA P-Loop 2. Yeah, okay, it's a portable magnetic loop. And it covers from 40 meters on up through 10. So yeah, this is a... I think this is going to be a whole separate video here. Yep, I think I'm going to save the magnetic loop for an entirely separate video. Now, as to the other antenna. Well, there was no documentation in the box, and the reason for that is it's a fairly new product. It's called the Modular Portable Antenna System, and it consists of several parts. Now, I was not aware of that right away, and several of us went outside and tried to set up the antenna just based on what we had, and we weren't quite sure what we were doing, and we fiddled around with it. Well, somewhat later, I went ahead and got online and looked up the documentation, which is available on Chameleon's website. Looking at the documentation for the antenna, here's the title page, and they call it the CHA MPAS, Modular Portable Antenna System. Now, the components that they list, there's a slight error in here. In talking to Chameleon, I did not receive this CHA mil extension, which they refer to in the documentation, and they've decided that that is an optional accessory. And what that's used for is you have this military whip here. That's what it comes with, and that's for the man-pack vertical, shown here. But this extension is supposed to be used to enhance performance when you're on a vertical configuration for the lower bands, and that is going to be an optional accessory. Here's the stuff that came to me from Chameleon Antennas. That metal stake for mounting it in the ground, and that incredibly nice multi-purpose clamp. The stake would make it very quick and easy to put this thing up in a, in the ground as a vertical outside of a tent, or if you're doing a SOTA or parks on the air activation. And that clamp gives you a lot of flexibility for hooking it up to fence posts, picnic tables, a bumper on a car, well, maybe not a bumper on a car, but and just about anything else that's available. So those are pretty handy to have. The smaller whip is here. And then they also sent me this slightly longer one, which is listed as a standalone 28 to 54 megahertz antenna, but supposedly works a little bit better in a vertical configuration if that's what you're setting up, which is what I used for my testing. And then this is the hybrid here, the matching network. And I'm not sure what's going on inside that thing. I thought at first that it might be an auto transformer, an un-un, like we use like a 9-to-1 un-un for end-fed wires. But that might not be the case, and I'll tell you why a little bit later. This is a 60 foot of wire that came with it for setting up other antenna configurations, as we'll see in a moment. And over here I've just got a 25 foot roll of wire for a counterpoise, which is recommended in nearly all the installations. The first configuration that they show it in is a man-pack vertical. The hybrid's down here at A, and then you've got that small whip, and then a 25 foot counterpoise wire dangling behind you. This is similar to what I set up for my testing. I don't have supports out here. I don't have trees or that to set up the other wire antennas. So we tested it, and basically it's minimal configuration. Then they give you some other antenna suggestions. This would be a portable vertical suggestion. And again, here the documentation is referring to that extender, which is not included in the default package and is an optional accessory. They are probably going to revise the documentation. In talking to them, they said that that's an optional thing, and I was complaining, I guess, that it's shown as basically being there, and they said they're going to resolve that. So this is another configuration with the matching network, and you've got a vertical. Using the wire, you could set up a sloper, which they show here, just sloping the wire up into a tree from the matching network, and then again, the 20 to 40 foot counterpoise is you want to have available. They show it going off in the same direction as the wire, and they don't make mention of any directional characteristics there. I have always found with an end-fed wire that it's best for the counterpoise to go off in the opposite direction of the radiator. I have seen a performance decrease when I run the counterpoise in the same direction as the radiator, and I imagine that they are interacting with each other somehow. So they don't say it in the manual, but I always find that it's best to run your counterpoise in the opposite direction from your radiator. But that's just me. I'm sure that there's some debate about that. But anyway. So a sloping wire is one configuration using that wire. Another configuration would be an inverted L, where you could run the wire up to a tree and then across to another tree. And again, the counterpoise. Inverted V. Now this is where I paused to think. Thinking that this guy here is an un-un, but I've never seen an un-un used in this configuration for an inverted V. And my first thought was, it's not going to work. Or maybe it wouldn't work well, but maybe it does. I don't know. Or maybe their matching transformer is not an un-un, and there's some other kind of magic going on in here. I might try in a future video to take a 9-to-1 un-un and set it up in this configuration as an inverted V and see how it behaves. Why not? So anyway, that's another configuration of the antenna system. Horizontal NVIS. Where it's just a horizontal wire with the feed point elevated a bit and straight across 10 to 12 feet above the ground. NVIS, near vertical incidence, means that the antenna is going to radiate most of its signal upwards and not outwards. And you might wonder what that's useful for. Well, it's useful for near communications on lower bands. If you were on 80 meters and you only wanted to talk to people that were within about a 100-mile footprint, this is going to work, because what's going to happen is your signal is going to go almost straight up and come almost straight back down when there's propagation, allowing you to communicate with stations that you would normally skip over on another antenna configuration. So that's what an NVIS antenna is, and that's why it's useful. And the last configuration they show in the manual is kind of weird. I suppose you could do that if you were parked. Tilted NVIS. Again, using that extension that's an optional accessory. They might change their mind. I'm not going to say that they will. I'm just wondering if they might. Since they have it in the documentation, maybe they'll include it. Or maybe they'll revise the documentation. I guess time will tell. As I said, it's a new product. And I'm sure it's still being finalized. So those are the configurations of antenna that they show in the manual that are possible. There might even be some other options. Maybe there'd be a loop option that you could set up with it. Who knows? It's definitely like a Lego set for antennas. They give you the components to build all kinds of antennas out of one set of components. And I think that's kind of a really neat idea. For my testing, since I don't have any supports out here, I decided to go with a vertical configuration mounted on the ground. They do show that in another illustration that I didn't capture, but anyway, that's what I decided to use. And here it is. I set the antenna up outside the rig using the stake here. I pounded it into the ground, put the matching network in, and put on the taller vertical element. Now, you can't see it in this photo, but you can in this one. Here's my counterpoise wire here running off, 25-foot counterpoise. You can see the detail here, how this all goes together. This thing is really well built. It feels like a piece of military hardware. It's just solid. I'm impressed with the construction technology. I guess that's what you get when you get what you pay for. And Chameleon antennas are premium, I would say, pricing, or they're higher than, they're not cheap, but they're not cheaply built either. You do get what you pay for. This thing is built well. So that's the configuration that I set up. I went in and I did some sweeps with the mini VNA to see what the SWR was. Here's 80 meters, and you can see the yellow line here is the SWR that corresponds to the colors over here. The light blue is impedance. And as you can see, from 80 meters, which is from here to about there, our impedance starts out just above 50 ohms and ends up about 150 ohms with a fairly flat SWR right around 3:1. Now, they do say that performance is limited on 160 and 80 meters. And that it's improved by having that extension. So I'd love to have the extension and do another sweep on the low bands and see, how the antenna is gonna look there. But this is just with the extension that came with it. So that's 80 meters. Here is 40 meters, and again the SWR it's below 3:1. See, 40 meters would be from about here to about here, and we're below 3:1, so any tuner should be able to handle it just fine. You could probably operate without one and get away with it, but I don't like to do that above 2:1. It's kind of pushing it. Your finals will get a little warm. The impedance starts out pretty close to 50 ohms, and by the other end of the band, we're not too far above that, maybe about 60 to 70 ohms in that area. Then, once we get above 40, things start to get better. Here's 20 meters, or I'm sorry, here's 30 meters, and that's right in here. Is 30 meters, and you can see we're below 2.5 to 1, about 2.2 to 1, with an impedance that's slightly below 50 ohms. Now, you could operate 30 meters without a tuner and probably do pretty well. 20 meters gets a little bit better, which would be from about here to about here. And you can see we're below 2:1 SWR. The impedance is a little bit below 50 ohms. So yeah, you'd have no problems operating on 20. The rest of the bands above 20 were absolutely fine. Here is 15 meters, and we're just above 1.5 to 1. Here's 10 meters, and we're below 1.5 to 1. And then finally 6 meters is really goofy. That's a really interesting pattern on 6, but it does stay below 2.5 to 1 at the peak here.
So you could operate on 6 without any problems. This is the SWR chart included in the manual, and it sort of lines up with what I measured.
Radio, try it again, please. You're very, very late. Try it again, please.
Kilo Bravo Niner, Radio Lima Whiskey. Kilo Bravo Niner, Radio Lima Whiskey, Portable 6.
Okay, I'm kind of losing you. Just stand by for a moment. Just stand by for a moment, and I'll see if I can get someone else to pick you up. And this is Kilo India 0 Golf, Whiskey 7 Tango Oscar Alpha. Back over to you, and there's a 9 station trying to check in.
So the that hybrid matcher, I don't know what's going on. It's kind of magic. It does pretty well on these shortened radiators. This is 80 meters, obviously. And the ICOM's tuner has no problem bringing it in. I tried some things last night, didn't have any success talking to anybody on 80, but they do say the performance is limited on 80. So 80 and on up, all the bands, the ICOM's built-in tuner was fine with tweaking them in. 14 megahertz and up, you almost didn't need the tuner, obviously. I'd say 20 meters it was still needed. Anything above 20 meters, I didn't need the tuner. I had a pretty much flat SWR. Like, let's go to 15. And no tuner, right? Kilo Bravo 9, Radio Lima Whiskey. Now, if you were watching, the S meter here, or the meter here, switched to SWR in transmit, and there was hardly a tickle. So, 15 meters flat, no problem there. Same on 12 meters, 10 meters, of course. Kilo Bravo 9, Radio Lima Whiskey. Yeah, just a tickle of SWR on 10 meters. So I'm really looking forward to testing this system in its other configurations. It's end-fed wire, it's inverted V, inverted L, and all of that. Being out in the desert presently, I don't have any supports or trees to rely on to test those configurations. So you will be seeing this system in the future. As I move around, when I get to areas where I'm able to do so, I'll be putting this up in its other configurations and testing its performance. The ground-mounted vertical configuration worked okay. It is what it is. I mean, it's a short radiator. It's like an outbacker. It's going to get you out, and you could use it, but it's not going to be as good as like a resonant dipole, obviously. A resonant antenna has much more capture area, a longer radiator that can properly resonate with the RF and produce a good strong field. Any kind of a shortened antenna where you've got a matching network at the base is going to be inefficient compared to like a dipole. So I wouldn't expect it to be a magic bullet. Pros, construction, fantastic. This stuff is put together well. It's all very high quality materials. It would probably last years and years and years, and I'm going to be using it quite a bit in the future, as I said. Cons? I don't know. I really can't say anything negative at this point. Like I said, the shortened vertical configuration worked okay. I wouldn't expect anything better from such a short radiator. So I guess it's working as well as it could for that configuration. This hybrid, or I think they call it a hybrid, this little matching accessory transformer network is very thoughtfully designed. There's a lot of flexibility in the way they put this together, as you saw from the manual's suggested configurations. Chameleon, you know, a chameleon can change its colors. This system can change its configuration. You've got 5, 6, 7 antennas in one with these parts. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing further with this. And as I said, we'll see it in future videos, and we'll look more at it in other configurations as I have the ability to set it up in those configurations. So that's a first look at this new product from Chameleon. I hope you found it informative, and like I said, we'll fill in more details as we get the opportunity.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're not already a subscriber, click to subscribe. Join us on the Facebook channel for discussion about the videos. And if you'd like to help support this channel, please click to support me on my Patreon page.